You're
Appreciate
connecting some dots here for me a little bit. I mean,
it.
this
Same
is
here.
life.
Yeah,
You
life.
know?
And when you bounce it off someone and it allows you to either validate a thought you've had or fill in the blanks that maybe you couldn't fill in yourself, everyone goes through something, right? Even though, like you talk about, I'm always smiling. I see you positive all the time. We all come from something that brought us to that event. And, you know, you had mentioned this earlier. You know, I was an overweight, shy teenager. And when I was 13, and I made a transformation from 13 to 16, it was a drastic change, but 13 to 16 is when I really started to, you know, change into who I was. But I probably was 25 before I felt confident and I started to really become who I am. Now, people that know me know my background, my story. They know why I'm who I am now. But acquaintances of mine or work colleagues that didn't know me except from a distance, I have always been accused of being full of myself, arrogant, and a hothead. And I'm okay with that because as I got older, I realized that they only see superficially when I show up, the way I carry myself, the way I speak with my voice, the way I maybe work out on the trail. All of these things that can be looked at from afar and go, look at this guy, he's full of himself. I get that. But when you've gone through being overweight and shy, and then you get away from that and you break the chain, so to speak, you never want to go back to that person again. And because I don't want to go back to that person, I have to carry myself the way I am now because I've changed into that. But what they don't see, and I know you can relate to this, is how much you help others behind the scenes that come to you, come to me. Can you train me? Can you help me? Can you take me on a hike? Can you talk to me on the phone? I cannot tell you, Scott, how many phone calls I have taken since I've retired from the Marine Corps. And I lived overseas for 7 years after I got out of the Marine Corps in the Middle East. And I would be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. And at midnight in the States, I would have we don't say former Marine, but a Marine, no longer on active duty, would message me on Facebook or call me on my phone at midnight here. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning there with the thoughts of suicide, losing their wife. The checks bounced. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They got laid off. They feel like they have no worth. And they called me. And they called me because apparently in the past, I always brought optimism to them and fired them up or told them how valuable they were. And I would stop everything I had and give them my devotion. Now, there were times at work where I couldn't, but if it was something life or death, believe me, somebody would always cover me at work and I would go outside, take a phone call or a FaceTime and do that. And that is, and you relate to this, those are the most beneficial feelings that you can ever receive when you can help someone else knowing that they're at their lowest low and you can help bring them out of it because they reached out to you because there's something about who you are and the connection you've had from the past. But when you have critics out there, they don't see all of that because it's not like we broadcast this type of stuff on social media because I always tell people I'm not a secret person, but I'm very private. Even though I share a lot of stuff on social media, I'm very private. I've gone through a lot of things. I've made bad choices in life. I've made mistakes, but I've made bad choices that I've had to live with. And there's a difference. I say this to everyone. There's a difference between a choice and a mistake. And I made bad choices knowing that if I did this, this is the result and consequences, but I made the choice anyway. A mistake is usually made with good intention, then it fails. Yeah. So that's been a life lesson, for me in so many occasions. And I've relearned that lesson on probably every decade I have something happen to me where I've had to relearn something I've already done in the past, but the lesson that I remember learning is so applicable now that I get through it faster.